What are some good uses of video when promoting your practice? In those situations, what makes good versus bad video? If it's so easy to do video today, why aren't more people doing it? Well, today's guest does video and healthcare for a living, and he's going to bring some sanity to this discussion. I'm Carl White, principal at Market Advisory Group, which is a healthcare marketing agency, and I'm also the host of PracticeCare. The mission for both is the same, and that's to help private practice owners stay private. Not only is that what they want, but care is better when the provider owns the practice, because that's when they have the most freedom to make the clinical decisions that they think are best. It's different when somebody else owns the practice, because eventually their agenda starts to creep in. It's inevitable. So our mission is, let's just keep them out so that the providers can continue to own the practice themselves. Today, my guest is Tony Gnau. That's G-N-A-U. Tony is the founder and chief storytelling officer at T60 Health, which is a healthcare video specialty company. He's a three-time Emmy award-winning journalist, has 18 Telly Awards for corporate videos. He's also the author of the Amazon #1 bestseller, Lights, Camera, Impact, Storytelling, Branding, and Production Tips for Engaging Corporate Videos. He's created videos for the likes of Walgreens, Aurora Healthcare, Common Spirit, and the Catholic Health Initiatives. And finally, when Tony is a former USC Trojan player, a Star Wars geek, you don't always hear that together, and a devoted husband and father. Tony, thank you for taking some time to come on PracticeCare.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Carl. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I've been looking forward to this one. I say that a lot. It's always true. Video, it's like on the one hand, everybody says, oh, I should do that, or oh, that makes a ton of sense, while at the same time getting paralyzed at all sorts of thoughts and sitting on the fence and not knowing where to get started. So hopefully we can nudge a few fence sitters into action. But before we do that, tell us a bit more about you, more than your bio can tell us. I'm curious how you got into video to begin with.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I mean, I've always been into video ever since I was a kid. I mean, I remember playing with, friends' home movie cameras and stuff when I was little, but really it started to take off when I was in college. I was a broadcast journalism major, wanted to go into TV news broadcasting. And so that's what I did. So for the first about 10 years of my career, I was a TV news reporter and started in small market and started working my way up the way you have to in that business. And I was a reporter at the NBC affiliate in Cincinnati, and just kind of sitting around one day and thinking to myself, you know what, it's probably time for me to change markets again. And the bigger the market you go to, the less sort of freedom you have over the stories that, you get to do. And it becomes more hard news. And I really wasn't into hard news. I was into more, what I would deem to be the good news of the day. And I like doing people stories and stories on businesses that were doing great things. And I thought, you know what, if there was ever a time for me to kind of walk away from TV news and start my own thing, at that point in my career, it was it. So that's exactly what I did. I moved back to my hometown of Chicago and started my own video production company and have been going strong ever since.
And why the video side of life from a former broadcaster as opposed to any other part that you were involved with?
I just love video because it brings together kind of, all of the senses or most of the senses, but you can just play with it so much more. I mean, it's so fun to, you can bring in the audio aspects of things and how that can help tell the story, but then you've got the visual aspect of things. And it's just fun to play with, I mean, as a guy who's a storyteller and has been a storyteller his entire career, video is just kind of, it's like the ultimate medium for that. And so I just love doing it.
Yeah. And we're going to get into like good uses of video for private practice. But first, it's like a two-part question. What does it take to do good video for private practice? That's the one part. And then the sort of thing behind it is just kind of what I said at the beginning. People get paralyzed by all sorts of things the moment you say video. And I bet you part of it is kind of what it takes, what good looks like, equipment, the lighting, people, what about the lighting, all this stuff. And I try to say what I say, which is keep it simple, a phone and regular, just to get started, but you're the expert. So what does it take?
Oh, I'm totally on board with you. I mean, I think, what does it take to get started? It takes that, it takes this thing in your pocket, I mean, that's all it takes. The barriers to producing video have never been lower than what they are now because you have a great camera in your pocket. So that's a great way to get started. And I think the key thing is just just to get started, don't be paralyzed by it. If you think it's something that's going to help your practice,
Yeah.
then, treat it as such and get it involved with it and do it. So,
Yeah.
even if that's just you on camera, just talking to people about whatever it is that you do in your practice, just get started in some way. And the thing is that video can be very addicting, like once you start getting a little taste of it and you start getting some success from it, you have all of a sudden people saying, hey, I saw that video that you did. All of a sudden, that's just going to spur you on and make you want to do more and more and get better and better at it. Because I think while it starts as kind of DIY, do it yourself, I think, as you get into it and start doing it more, you're going to want a more professional and polished video to go along with that sort of, enthusiasm for it. And that's when you can start moving into, do I need to bring in a video production company or, any of those things? But just get started, just get yourself on camera and just get going with it.
Yeah. So kind of get over the I don't know, the self-awareness hump or whatever. It's funny, like it hit me the other day. Somebody will say, I don't like how I look, or I'm worried about how I look. Like, well, if you're willing to put yourself in front of patients all day long with how you look, then what's the problem with looking the same on a video? You're fine. It's just, you're fine. And your point is right. I mean, do it yourself can take you to a point, and not just for like the equipment, it's for the storytelling. I mean,
oh, absolutely.
Somebody who knows what they're doing can look at a practice or a business or anything and go, there's a lot more here, and I can see it because that's what I do. So, but you may not because you're not a storyteller. So yeah.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it's not all about the equipment. It does have a lot to do with the storytelling and how you can tell your own story. And it's not to say that a doctor isn't capable of doing that. They certainly are. But don't expect yourself, give yourself some grace. Don't expect yourself to be great at this, just as soon as you start out or whatever. But I mean, one of the great things is that these days people are very forgiving of amateur videos, so if you don't have a super polished thing, don't get paralysis by analysis and, be like, well, it's not perfect. I didn't say that exactly the way I want to. Don't worry about that stuff. Just get it out there. Just publish it. Get it out there, and you will get better. It takes time to get better, whether it's the skills of operating the camera, whether it's telling your own story. Either way, you're going to get better the more you do it.
It's such a good point. And, I didn't say that word. There's one person on planet Earth who knows that, and that's you. And no one else is going to know it, and they're not going to care.
Yeah.
The entirety of TikTok is built on poor quality amateur video, kind of, sort of, right? So, and it's growing like crazy. So you can do it too. Yes.
Well, I think people, it's like, they want to say things in the right way. They want to present themselves as professionally as possible. And I'm totally empathetic to all of that. But the thing is that like when we produce our own videos, we'll analyze them to death. We'll be going through it like second by second, frame by frame, wanting to make sure. And the average person just isn't viewing them that way. They're watching them once. Usually, and then that's it. And they just watch it all the way through. They're not stopping and starting, and they just get a general impression of you, And so if the general impression is, wow, that person seemed professional, then that's what they walk away with. They don't walk away with, oh, he said once.
No,
so as long
as you said, it's not gonna
I mean, if it's a problem, if you're saying it over and over and over again, well, that's an issue. But if you say it once and then you're like, oh, I said once, I got to go back and do the whole thing over again. No, you don't. Really. Don't worry about it. That's just the way we talk. It's okay.
Yeah. So what are, in your experience, good uses of video when it comes to private practice?
Well, I mean, I think first and foremost, in private practice, the provider needs to produce some sort of video on themselves, and at first this can just be themselves just getting on camera and just, telling people who they are and what they believe in. But don't get so focused on, this is where I got my degree and this is where I got my training. And because people can read all of that on your bio page and, at your website or whatever. tell them a story. Why did you want to become a doctor? Why did you want to start your own practice? Usually there are bigger reasons to that people can really relate to and understand. And so tell them your story of why you're doing what you're doing, and, and that sort of thing. And provider videos are so good and so important, because it's a real tool for building trust with your audience. I mean, in healthcare, I mean, in every business, but in healthcare especially, I mean, we're in the trust business. I mean, people are coming to you, they're entrusting you with their personal health, the health of their loved ones and their family members and friends. And they want to trust you. And so you need to get on camera and show them why they can trust you. Yeah. And, it's not to say that somebody's going to watch a video and be like, well, I trust that person just because of that video, but it's a tool to help with that. It's a step forward in that direction, because most of the time when somebody watches a video about you, that's their first point of contact. Like, they haven't talked to you or anything, they've read about you, or they've seen your website or whatever it might be, and they want to learn more about you and get to know you a little bit before they actually pick up the phone or schedule an appointment or whatever. And this video is an opportunity to do that. This is your first opportunity to talk with them and to create a good first impression.
Yeah. And it's right. People choose a provider of any kind hoping to stay with them forever. Right. Yeah. So that requires a certain amount of trust. Plus, there's little things like they get to hear what you sound like. They get to hear what you put the sound of your voice together. In a sort of similar vein, there's this little online listing called a Google Business Profile. And in there, you can put pictures of whatever you want. And every one of my clients gets like a virtual tour. As many pictures as we think are necessary. People like that because it's just a little less surprising when they walk in the door. And now, if they can hear your voice, now there's familiarity on top of getting to know you a bit better. It's so true. So one good use is the providers, as long as it's not like a visual or a video resume. Sure. What else do you see that works well?
Well, I mean, you mentioned earlier, TikTok, in terms of, things like that are blowing up. And whether you're on TikTok or not, chances are you're on some form of social media, whatever one you feel like is most valuable for you and your practice. Start producing short form videos for those sort of things. These are like great little introductory sort of videos to you in your practice. So it can be something as simple as, right now, they're doing flu shots right now. So going on and telling people why it's important to get a flu shot. Maybe you have some sort of a story to tell about that that drives home that fact that people will be able to relate to. That's, it's sort of we talk in terms of marketing things like top of the funnel kind of things, where you're trying to build awareness just to raise your hand and say, hello, I'm out here. Providing valuable tips on, your health and things that you can do to improve your health. Those are great top of the funnel things to make people aware of you. And maybe they'll take that next step and want to learn more about you. And then, of course, that final step then is to convert into a customer or a patient and come see you as their provider. But, the top of the funnel videos, those short form, these don't have to be very long. Don't think you have to get on there and ramble on for 2 minutes on flu shots. It can just be 10 seconds of saying, hey, have you gotten your flu shot yet? It is so important this time of year because of XYZ, and you're in and out in 15 seconds. It's totally fine to do something that short.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I'm thinking about going, if you think 2 or 3 patients would ask you question X, probably a lot more.
Perfect.
There's another one, get the phone and just record.
Exactly. Any sort of frequently asked questions that you get, turning those answers into short form videos, that's an absolute home run. Yeah. What about, do you ever see, I call them culture videos, sort of, why we think we're, a valuable practice, why you would choose us, those sorts of things. What about that? Absolutely. I mean, I think it depends on how big the practice is. If it's a single practitioner, then you really just need that, that provider video or whatever. But if it's a practice that has multiple physicians within it, some
Hmm.
sort of an about us video is a fantastic thing to produce, just
Hmm.
to let people know that, hey, we have this whole team of people, and we kind of unite behind the same principle, whatever that might be. To do something in that vein, I think, is a fantastic thing.
Yeah. And by the way, from the online marketing point of view, so now you've got a video. People like me and my agency, we can take that video, transcribe it, put them both on the
Mhm.
website. Some people want to read, some people want to watch. Let's give them both. Google's all the happier. It's just sort of this nice virtuous circle. Um,
Well, and one of the great things about an about us video as well that I really value is that it's super versatile.
mhm,
That we talked about, like short form videos, top of the funnel, and maybe the provider videos, the middle of the funnel, and then if you can get like customer testimonial, a
mhm,
patient testimonial or something, that's a great bottom of the funnel to actually give
mhm,
that last push to convert them into being a
mhm,
customer of your own or a patient of your own. So like
mhm.
thinking in terms of the funnel like that. But one of the things that I love about the About Us video is like, if you could only produce one video about your practice, you could really use that video anywhere in
Yeah,
that
you
funnel,
could.
So it's
Mhm,
like if you have problems with, people are aware of us, but I can't push them to, to fill out a form on our website, or,
mhm.
whatever it might be, then you can use that video as sort of a supercharger to help push them through it. You use it in that stage of whatever marketing you're doing.
Yep, yep, absolutely. Um, just some like nuts and bolts type stuff for people who are getting
Mhm.
started. We sort of say just it's the camera is on your phone, everything, But let's talk a bit about just give us some guidance on like simple sort of lighting, sound,
Sure.
microphone, whatever, just so that people anything will stymie somebody, you know.
Right. I mean, and I think you picked out the two things that people really need to think about, and that's the lighting and the sound.
Okay.
Uh, you know, First of all, what I tell people all the time is that the great signature of an amateur video really isn't the video, it's the sound, it's the
Okay.
audio. So getting some kind of a microphone to pair with your smartphone is, I mean, the best tool that you can get. I mean, even an inexpensive $20 microphone is going to be better than what's built into the smartphone itself.
Okay.
So get some sort of a microphone, whether it's something you clip on, like a lapel microphone, whether it's a little microphone that actually clips onto the smartphone itself.
Okay.
That is a fantastic tool. And always try to record in a room that's quiet. If
Okay.
there's background noise of things going on, the microphone's going to pick that up. So you want to be in a quiet room. The other thing is the lighting. Don't sit with your back to a window and then put the camera in front of you. You're going to get a big silhouette of yourself.
Mhm.
So think about the light shining in your face some way. So,
Okay.
if you don't have like a good light or something that you can use to illuminate yourself, perfectly the way I kind of do here,
Mhm.
then get in front of a window. Just face the window and put the camera between you and the window so that the outside light is coming in. Mother Nature is the best lighting source that we have. So,
Okay.
even if you could just do something like that, that is a terrific thing to do. And then the last thing is, if you're going to be doing this, get a tripod of some sort, and a tripod that can actually hold on to your cell phone too. There's like
Mhm.
clamps or whatever that
Yeah.
can hold it onto the tripod. These are inexpensive items. I mean, none of these items you need to go crazy and spend all sorts of money on. You can
Yeah.
get all of them for less than $50 each.
Yeah.
We're not talking a big investment here for
Yeah.
any of this stuff.
All right, a couple of follow-ups. So on the sound, like what if there's sort of, ambient sort of climate control, like the heat is on or the air conditioning's on. Is that
You're never going to get it perfect. I
okay?
mean, I would, especially if you're just DIYing these videos, I would not worry about that.
Okay.
Just roll with whatever you have in that case. Just putting a microphone on is going to improve your sound situation like
Hmm.
tenfold. So I wouldn't worry about, oh, the air conditioning just turned on during the middle of my thing. All right, so what?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a big deal. In an ideal world, we wouldn't want that to happen. But if that's your best take and you're happy with it outside of that, most viewers are not going to care about that,
Okay.
so I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay. And then yeah, the tripods, they could be tabletop, they can be floor standing,
Yeah,
right? They can be
absolutely.
really
Absolutely.
easy.
And you know what? There are all sorts of great DIY shooting guides out there. We have one ourselves. If anybody is interested and they want a DIY video guide, they absolutely get in touch with me and I'll send you our video guide. And it just, gives you some basics about how to frame the shot properly and how to light it properly and stuff like that, it just takes your amateur video and just levels it up a little bit.
Yeah. All right. So I want to ask you a question. I want to go a bit off the reservation from what we talked about before we started recording, but you are a storyteller, right? And I'm
Yes.
1000% on board with the power of a story compared to the non-story structure of saying the same thing.
Right.
So, why are stories better? And how do you take welcome to our practice and, storify it, so to speak?
Storify it. That's a good word. I like that one. Stories, here's what I tell people all the time about video is that, don't mistake video as being just another piece of content, whether it be the copy on your website, whether it be a blog post, whether it be an infographic, don't mistake video as being just another piece of content. It's different. And the main reason it's different is because when we create videos, we're not going after people's minds with our videos. We're going after their hearts. And the shortcut to the human heart is storytelling. Telling a story is going to make people remember you, remember the information you're trying to get out. It is the shortcut to get in there and make people remember you and make you relevant in their minds. People will remember stories before they'll remember facts and figures.
Yeah.
So video isn't about facts and figures. Video is about emotion. And the way to go after people's emotions is with stories. Now, that doesn't mean you have to get people to laugh or to cry or big emotions like that. Having somebody feel confident in you, that's an emotion, So, you can go after all sorts of different things, when it comes to emotions, and you just want to tell a story that people can relate to, So who's your ideal patient? Think about who your ideal patient is and how you try to relate to them when you're in the room with them. And you're trying to build up a sense of, commonality with them so that they feel, so that they're going to get to know you and feel that they're going to trust you. There are things that every doctor does in terms of their own bedside manner when they're actually meeting with a patient. Let's take those skills and let's move them into the video realm. We want you to do the same types of things that you would when you're producing your videos.
Yeah.
And, if you have a story to tell, then that's just going to make it that much easier for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Your story could be as simple as, here's why I started this practice.
Absolutely. So many times, just tell us why you got into medicine.
Yeah.
So many times, how many doctors I've interviewed over the years, and they usually have amazing stories about that.
Yeah.
Why they wanted to get into it.
It's
sometimes it's not the best story. Sometimes it's, well, I like science, and I was interested in, how the body works. And that's fine, but that's not necessarily a story that's going to grab anybody. But if you have a story that, hey, my uncle got sick when I was 13 years old, and I remember how helpless I felt, whatever it might be, that's a way to relate with people, because we've all had that uncle that's gotten sick or, whatever it might be. Just find a story that you think is going to capture the hearts of your prospects and use those stories.
And here's the heart of it, right? Because you said it, the emotion, it is human nature. This is just the way it is, that when somebody chooses something, they say the generic way to say it is you buy on emotion and you justify with facts. It's just the way the human mind works. We all do it. No matter how much you think you don't, you do. Doesn't mean you go in that perfect sequential order. Maybe you bounce back and forth, but ultimately you buy based on an emotion and you justify it with facts. And if stories are the way to the emotion, or if they're the fastest path there, then here we are. This is the way to do it. So,
and I think it's important to remember that this isn't your only marketing tactic that you're probably using or should be using, So it's like, we get kind of hung up on the video, but it's like, No, you have this entire website that goes along with it that's passing along all this really valuable information. And maybe you are, having somebody create infographics for you. Maybe you're doing a podcast of some sort, whatever it might be. These are all just different marketing tactics. They all work together, So it's like, well, we're going after somebody's heart with our videos. We're going after their heads with a blog post that we wrote, or, the website copy that we have, whatever it might be. So it's all of these things should be working in concert together.
Yeah, absolutely. Any hard do not do's, stay away froms with video?
I mean, I kind of gave one of them. I think, and I totally understand why. Like a lot of providers want to lead with where they got their degree and where they got their training, because it's probably impressive, and to them, that's like a super important aspect. They put a lot of hard work and effort into earning that degree from that institution and getting that training from that, that organization or whatever. So I totally understand it.
But you know what though? Let's just take that one out back and shoot it. You're supposed to be qualified, Dr. X.
100%.
If you went to wherever, and me, layperson patient, I'm not, oh, you went to Stanford. Oh, you only went here. Oh, I think I'm going to think twice. It never happens. Never happens.
No,
you're supposed to be qualified. You're supposed to be degreed and credentialed. Table stakes.
And you brought it up just a minute ago too, because here's the better scenario is that you tell them this wonderful story about why you decided to go into medicine, and it's something that people are like, wow, that's really great. Like I totally understand where he or she is coming from. That's pretty amazing. And then they go to your website and they're like, wow, they went to Northwestern too.
Right. And he's smart too.
So it's like that's
engaging.
They go looking for the facts to justify the way they're feeling about them. So it's like, it's not that it's inconsequential or that it's not important in any way. It's just where you use those facts and figures and information makes a difference. And video just isn't the best spot for that sort of thing.
The sequence of it. So so one is, don't talk about yourself, and when you do, don't talk about yourself. Don't talk about things that aren't relevant in the beginning, I guess. Any other hard and fast, never do's when it comes to video?
Well, I would say once you get to the point where, you're involved in your marketing, like marketing has become a really important part of your practice. You should at that point start looking into having more professional videos produced for you. And it's not to say that the DIY videos need to go away or anything. I think those top of the funnel short form videos are absolutely videos that everybody should be DIYing and keep doing. But like, if you are like really into your marketing and that's an important part of your practice, and you want to do an about us video, or you want to do a really good provider video or something, that's when you go look for a professional to help you with that stuff. Because the professional polish that somebody that does it for a living like us, I mean, you're just never going to do it as well. And so it's like, the more professional you want to present yourself, then you have to go find people that can actually help and show people that professionalism through a professional video. So that would be my other thing, is just that, I love the DIY stuff and I totally advocate for it. But when the marketing becomes more and more important to you, and your image becomes more and more important to you, then find professionals to do it.
Totally agree. It's just like headshots, or it's funny. I a lot of clients who are like, we just scheduled a photographer, which is the right move. Because after a while we just, we can't do it anymore. So totally get it. Yeah. In the vein of wrapping up, a couple of questions I ask every guest. The first one, anything you think I should have asked you, but I just didn't ask you?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think the big thing is to get started. I mean, that is really is the main thing. People can get paralyzed, and it seems like it's too much to do, but it really isn't. And like, once you get started in it and you start to kind of see the results from it, you're going to want to do more. But it really takes getting started. And so I think that's the main thing. I think that's probably the most important thing, the most important message to get through to people. And then, like I said, when you've gotten to a point where, your marketing and your personal image is more important, then that's when you seek out the professional help.
Yeah, I guess it's like, get over yourself, because when I bring it up to clients and they say no, it's never, look, I don't have the time. it's this sort of, pregnant silence of, and you can tell it's just the overwhelm of thinking about, I'm going
Right.
to be on
Right.
camera. Um,
Well, and
you
honestly,
know,
I mean, sometimes you're never going to get through that with somebody,
mhm.
where they're going to do it themselves. Then go out and find somebody to help you.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's not a big production company. Maybe it's somebody who's doing it as their side hustle or something. So it's not
Mhm.
going to be quite the, financial investment or whatever. But
Right.
like if you as a provider understand the importance of video, and I hope that you do,
Mhm.
because it is an incredible trust channel.
Mhm.
If you understand the importance of it, then it's worth doing.
Yeah.
And, if you have to pay for it, then pay for it, then
Yeah.
do it. I know that's easy for me to say. We're producing we're
Well,
producing
but you know
healthcare
what?
videos,
It's
but
got some
it's
of
the
the
truth.
it's got some of the longest shelf life of, the universe
Yeah.
of marketing tactics that are out there. I mean, Dr. X, unless the way you look fundamentally changes, that video,
Yes.
or the message and what you said fundamentally changes, that video is going to last 2 years and
That there are
work
plenty of
every
videos that they
time.
can do that are evergreen.
You right, and just last, the utility of them is going to last for years, and it's just, it's hard to find something with a bigger bang, for what you pay. So maybe we answered it, but the other question I ask is, all right, somebody's, they've been thinking about this, they're listening to this now, like, you know what, I got to get this. But sometimes people are, they're stuck at the starting line. So if you had to
Mhm.
nudge them, one or two simple things they could do to get started.
I would say it's kind of a combination of what each of us has said. Like I loved how you put, like if you're getting frequently asked questions at
Mhm.
your practice, just get on camera and start answering those questions.
Yeah.
It could just the video can be simply, people ask me if I should get the flu shot.
Mhm.
Here's why you should get the flu shot.
Yeah.
And then you just do just a little 15 to 30-second video just on
Yeah.
things like that. And those are, I mean,
Yeah.
you can pound those out quickly. You can sit down with a camera and answer, 5 or 6 of those in,
Yeah.
10 or 15 minutes or whatever. And you've gotten started. Great.
Yeah.
Go post those videos.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be super complicated.
Yeah.
And like I said, once you get started doing it,
Yeah.
you're going to get some encouragement to keep going then.
Yeah. I wonder if another one is, so make a video and show it to somebody else that you trust, because you're just going to judge yourself. You're going to erase it. So, and maybe ask them, how do I look? Does this seem, because other people, you're your own worst critic, probably. We
Oh
are
God,
all our own worst
100%.
critic. So if somebody else that you trust, whether it's, I don't know, spouse, a partner, a patient, somebody who works there, and they go, I think this is really good, maybe you just go with it. Because you know
Yeah.
what? You can always take it down. I mean,
Yeah.
if it turns out it was everybody got it wrong and it's a disaster, which is not going to happen, but on the 0.1% chance that actually, just take it down, you know, um,
Yep.
have somebody else tell you, actually, this is fine. You were way overthinking it. you
Yeah.
know,
I mean, if it's something that if it's advice that you would be giving in your practice anyway,
yeah,
then then there's absolutely no reason why you should be afraid to, put that
yeah,
information out there for people. And ultimately, I mean, look, most providers get into the business because they want to help people.
mhm,
This is a way of helping people. I mean,
mhm,
this is a way for you to go beyond your practice walls and help people.
mhm,
So, it's actually providing you with sort of a bigger venue for that sort of
mhm.
thing. So maybe think about it in those
Yeah,
terms.
just take the leap. Take the leap, my friend. Just give it a shot. Cool. Tony, thank you so much for coming on. Hopefully, we have demystified lots of this, and somebody's going to fire up their phone this afternoon or this weekend and just, take the. It's not a leap, actually. It's just walking a straight line. There's actually nothing down there. There is no down there. Just take it. But thank you so much for coming on and helping us understand this a bit more.
Carl, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Tony Gnau with T60 Health. All the contact information that you gave us, we're going to put in the show notes for your episode, for this episode, so that anybody who wants to get a hold of you can. A couple of points before we wrap up. First, if you're like Tony or I, we serve private practice owners, we serve healthcare, and you've got, you want to talk more about your experience so that we can help private practice owners. Or if you are a private practice owner, you've got some experience on the business side of private practice. Either way, I want you to come on PracticeCare and tell us about it. In the show notes for Tony's episode and every episode, there's a link. Questions, tell us what's on your mind so we can get you scheduled as soon as possible. And finally, we're on all the major platforms, but you have to subscribe. We're on Apple, we're on Spotify, Google, we're on Amazon, we're on YouTube as well. most every player. Subscribe. We do a new episode every week so that you can stay up to date. Thanks very much. Until next time.